Welcome to Antioch Missionary Baptist Church Sunday School. It's a blessing to be here, and as I always say, I don't get tired of saying it. Thank God for giving us another day. I'm glad to see us all here just one more day. I'm very thankful, very thankful. It's truly been a tough week out here in the world. The pandemic growing more and more, as the song said, more and more. It's growing more and more, and it is unfavorable, unfavorable, very unfavorable. I am praying every day that everybody can still stick together through all this, and through everyone who is going through some things right now when it comes to the pandemic. We're praying, hopeful that this thing will be over quickly for you. If you are having issues with the virus right now, we continue to pray that everything will be okay and you'll be healed. And I'm just, again, we'll be praying for you. That those who are in the sick and shut in, we give you all our grace and mercy. And we would like to see you here, but if you can't, we probably end up coming to you, as the men has been doing in the past few years, coming to you. We might pick that back up and talk to the guys later on today after church on some things. What we're trying to do to kick off the men, the men mission. So we are thankful. We are all grateful, though. Talking to each and every one of them, we are all grateful and honored to be here and to help spread the word of God to everyone. Today is August 22nd. August 22nd, Sunday, August 22nd, and look, all the holidays are coming up quick now. Before you know it, it'll be Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then again New Year's. All right, can somebody pray us in?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you for health and strength. We thank you for waking us up this morning. We just ask your blessing upon each and every one. Those that are going through some kind of grieving process, those that's going through illness. We ask you to just bless and keep them. This we ask in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Amen. All right, so we got our new lesson book. If you guys want the book, this is what it looks like. So if you want it, you can ask somebody to bring it to you. But it says, "Get right, church, and let's go home." That's a song, ain't it? Mm-hmm. Get right, church, and let's go home. See, I can hold a note just that song. Yeah. But yeah, get right, church, and let's go home. So today, we're going to go into, basically, the biggest thing is what we're talking about is the prodigal son. Who knows anything about the prodigal son? Anybody? Everybody help? Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go from here. Don't mind me looking down. I'm just looking down at the chapter. We just got this today, but we're going to show you how God works, because we're going to speak everything from God, not from our carnal mind. We'll see how we work together, because we all just got this book today. All right. But let me give you a short synopsis of something. I know a lot of people, men and women, that I've served with in the military, and then also worked with in the world, and then also now at the VA. I'm my second VA. And I know one of my friends lives out in California, and he's been struggling with trying to do the right thing. He is a home builder, and he said, "Taste, look, I got a story to tell, and it either ends well or bodes to be great for him, for me, as he explained to me." And then he said, I've been building for a lot of people, including stars. He was building for stars too as well, and he built, I mean, big mansions for these guys. And was happy, I'm happy to even know him that he's in that statue. But right now he said, you know what, it's time for me to retire. He said, I want to retire. He said, I made a lot of money, but God has really blessed me. And he said, but then I started doing some things where I thought I had all this money and I could do whatever I wanted to do. And I started just doing me. Got to end up getting a divorce. And then now he was, he thought he was living a single life in California, thinking he was going to, do all kinds of stuff. So he said, I got to my last house. And he said, the builder had told me, he said, I want you to just do this one house for me. He said, he went and told him, he said, I want to retire. He said he wanted to retire. He said, I want you to just do this one last house for me. He said, can you please just do this one last house? So he had told me, he said, Tracy said, I went out on the job and I got up there and it just didn't feel right. So he said, my heart wasn't even in it. He said, my heart wasn't even in it. So he said even though, he was there, his mind wasn't there. His mind was all over the place because he was retiring, and then also he was going through, that transition. He said, so I really just didn't care. So they put up the house and got the house built, and after the house was built, he said, he told the owner, he said, I really didn't put my whole heart in this thing. I walked through this house and it just didn't seem like it was a house like I built it. And he said, the owner had told him, he said, I want you to, go back, you finish, we're going to do something for you. We're going to do something good for you. And he said, Chase, he said, man, you won't believe what happened to me. He said, I really didn't put my whole heart into this house. And the guy ended up coming to me and saying, you know what? This is your gift. You built your last house. He built his own house, but he didn't put his heart in it. He didn't put his heart in it. He did not put his heart in it. The guy came up and gave him the keys. He said he gave me the keys, and I was just like, this is not the house that I would want to settle in. But look what he did. He turned away from God and turned away from everything that got him to where he was. And his house just wasn't built the way he wanted to. So I say that and I told him, I asked him, could I share the story with everybody? He said, yeah. But I shared that just to show you guys that you don't set up, and do for God and then always backslide and go back and forth and go back and forth. You don't do that. You go one way, one straight way. I want to go straight and narrow to God. I want to be with God. I want to do what he tells me. I want him to lead me. I want to walk in his footsteps. But when you get weak, you don't turn your back. Because look at what's going on. His house is built, but it wasn't to what he wanted and what he thought it was. God gave him that house, and it wasn't the house that he wanted. So how are you going to build your house? I ask y'all. How are you going to build your house? Are you going to have your home on steady ground? Because he didn't. He really didn't care. And I told him that. I said, you just didn't care. I said, you basically said, whatever. Let these people just build the house whatever they wanted to, and the house ended up being yours. So you are what you're going to build. Your house is what you're going to build. That's my biggest emphasis, is your house is going to be what you're able to build it. So if you wanted to be on the foundation of God, how are you going to do it? Do I got anybody to want to comment on what he should have done?
Well, that just showed you that we don't always come back in four pieces to God. Like I said, he wasn't completely together, and he was partial, and that's how we're going to come back. It's hard to come back whole when you're not together at all.
Mm-hmm.
He just came back any way he can. That's when we come back. We're going to have pieces missing and stuff disarranged, or need to be rearranged. But the thing is that we're willing to come back, and he'll eventually God will help straighten us out if we're willing to let him do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that the main point that he was willing to come back, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing with God. We never come back fully. But the thing is, if we come back, he'll eventually straighten those things out that needs to be worked on.
Yeah, right. Right? Anybody else? I mean,
Yes, I think that anything that basically what the home builder, he had gotten burned out. That's when he decided he's gonna retire.
mm-hmm.
So the guy said, well, look, before you go, I want you to build this house for me. Great, but look, man, I'm getting ready to retire. Well, go ahead, just this one house. He didn't put his heart into it.
Right. Right.
He wanted to just build and get by.
Yep.
Anything in walking with Christ or in anything we do, we should do it to the very best of our ability.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever comes after say, this is a job well done. And I'm sure that Christ does this with us as we pass through life. When we draw an opinion of someone, not that we are being judgmental, but just an opinion. If somebody asks us for it, we will give it.
Mm-hmm.
Quite often, though, we give before someone asks.
Right.
So that becomes judgmental.
Right. 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 So as he stated, he didn't put his heart into it.
Right.
You know, he didn't put his time, what he was used to doing for all these people. He didn't know that it was going to end up being his. And nobody knew, but the owner.
No.
You know, so we have to give it our all. We have to be all in all the time on God. All in all the time. Not 1 foot in and then 1 foot out. We build our home based on what we give to God. We give to God. You know, in this lesson, you know, the aim is there are so many things that just won't get you home. It's some things that just won't get you home. But there's one thing that always gets you home, and that is choosing to go home the right way. Choosing to go home the right way. And we talked about coming up and standing up and when somebody wants to come back to the Lord after backsliding, they say, I want to come back home. And I said this on many occasions, that if somebody comes up here and then we're asked who can be a prayer partner, everybody should come. Because all of us are prayer partners, not just the ones that come up. All of us are prayer partners. Because you never know who you're going to run into on the streets when you know, oh man, she just came back to Christ. You see what I'm saying? It should not be that we just come in, one or two come in and say, I want to be prayer. No, we should all come because we all are prayer partners. Y'all agree?
Of course.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you talk about these, I think that was one of the things that impressed me when I united this. Because I decided I didn't want a prayer partner. I just wanted people to continue to pray for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not a designated thing.
Mm-hmm.
But how many, like that man building his house,
Mm-hmm.
did he put his heart into it?
Right.
He didn't put his heart into it. Now, when you say all of us should come up, or everybody should come up, how many came up and said, I'll be this person, prayer partner, and actually prayed for him?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them picked up the telephone and said, I think I'll call Leroy and see how Leroy's doing?
Mm-hmm.
Just, what is he doing?
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple of tickets at McDonald's. I bet you he probably like have a Big Mac with me.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just go and have a beer together. Anything.
Right.
Just companionship.
The companionship,
That's what
right.
Christianity is,
Right.
isn't it?
Right.
We don't give that. I've seen people come up and be prayer partner and they give the telephone number from Kroger or Pepsi Cola or Coca-Cola or something. I mean, not even, in fact, you know, not criticizing this church body, but they are very sacred with their telephone number. They will not give out their telephone number. You can even ask the secretary here, what is a sick person address or telephone number? And they're reluctant to give it to you, so that you can send a card, a telephone card. So I don't know why,
Well, we can all
y'all
talk.
not well done.
Yeah, we can all discuss that and talk about it and see what we can do to maximize everybody. Even if we have to get approval from everybody to say, you know, you can give my address out or my phone number. We can work on that. We can work on that and see if we can change it. But again, like you said, it doesn't just have to be just those 2 or 3 people. If everybody comes up, how much of their heart they're gonna give into helping this person. And I agree. Everybody should be able to come up and say, hey, let's go have, you know, get a Big Mac, like you said. Let's go out here and, you know, go get some rallies or get a burger and some fries together and to talk. Just to talk, because we all need companionship. Just like you said. We do.
I'd like to follow up on Leroy, what he said. When I was put in charge of the men, I had 2 pages of numbers, and about 10 of those numbers worked. And I called her one time, my daughter was in the car, and she said, Dad, they got you on block. So, I mean, you know, you gotta want help.
Yeah.
And if you don't want it, just say, I
Right.
I don't want to be bothered.
Right.
And that's a good point, brother.
Right.
He made, right, the brother Freddie made that, and like in this lesson here, prodigal son, the son coming back, he wanted to be helped. He's ready to accept what needs to be done. Until a person accepts or want to come back, you can't do nothing for them.
Right.
You know, then after looking at this lesson, you have a choice. You know, everybody has a choice. And it's not as chance, it's a choice to want to go back home. And it's a tough choice at sometimes. It's really tough. So when you really want to give your heart and your mind and your soul and your all to God, it is rough and it's tough. You know, it is truly a tough task. We will see that the older brother also had a choice and how to receive his brother when he returned. After studying this lesson, students are called to see themselves as a prodigal or the older son. The older son. Tony, can you read the introduction, the first paragraph in that introduction?
Lesson 1,
Introduction.
okay.
This is the first paragraph.
It has been said that you can go home again, but you can't. How did the prodigal son ever get back home? The father did not send a wagon to pick him up. The elder brother did not get on a horse and go looking for him and offer him a lift home. The neighbors did not send him a ticket for the camel caravan to bring him back. Nobody did anything to get him home. He simply said, I will rise and go home. He got home by choosing to go home.
Now, isn't that the same where we choose, when we want to choose to go home, we make that choice. You know, we look at it and say, I'm my own man, or I'm my own woman. I make that choice. How many of us accept responsibilities for those choices that we make, though? Truthfully. How many of us really do take responsibility for those choices that we make to go back home? When we walk through those doors and we come back up here and we want to give our life back to Christ, how many of us truly want to take responsibility of that? Or how many of we do? You know, we all came here, we all walked that same walk, we all sat on the same bench or in chairs, or however else what happened when you were younger and you wanted to give your life and confess your life to Christ. We all did that same walk. I want to get baptized. We all did said that same phrase, right? I want to get baptized. But it's a choice to want to come home and do the right thing. When you got out of the military, did you choose to come home and flaunt everything that you got when you got in the military? No, it was a choice. You could have came home and by choice, you didn't have to come back home, right?
Right.
Well, it was something that drawed you back here. What drawed you back? It was a choice, right? God gave you that vision to come back home and want to come back home. You know, verse 2 says, paragraph 2 says, that is the way you get anywhere. It is by choice. He did not get home by hoping he would someday get there. He did not get home by wishing himself home. He may have wished he was. In fact, we know he did not wish to go home. In not feeding those dirty pigs, he longed for home. But his longing, wishing, and hoping did not get him home. He could have died of an old man and in the pig slop and never gotten home. If he had gotten home, he was hoping, longing, and wishing to go home. Too many times we focus on the younger son and never look closely at the older brother. How will the prodigal be received at home? So, how do you think the prodigal son felt when he came home? Was his brother receptive of that? Or do y'all know?
No, the older brother rejected, really, actually, kind of resented, because he put all that work in and was dedicated to the Father. And so just coming back, he started getting all the praise.
He falsely accused him, and he said, he told his father, I've always been here slaving for you and working hard, and when he goes off and you kill the fatty calf for him and put a ring on his finger, shoes on his feet, a robe on him, and he's wasted your money on prostitutes. You do all that for him? And, he was indignant about it.
Mm-hmm.
His father told him, I had to rejoice because he sees him back safe and sound. He was lost, but now he's found.
Mm-hmm.
And you've always been here. All I have is yours, and you've always been here working with me, but we had to celebrate because your brother was dead, now he's alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He tried to alleviate the anger of the older brother. The father did.
So in the insight of what's going on with the prodigal son and his older brother, it's just like us. You have those of us who have siblings, and you think one leaves and goes off, and again, I say it off like the military because I'm trying to put it in the terms of us. Back in those days, he went off and did whatever he wanted to do, and your brother and sister, one of them leave, one of them go to a different state and live, and then they end up wanting to come back home, but the one that's already been here helping mama and helping daddy, they feel kind of slighted when they seeing their brother or sister come back home, and they feel kind of slighted because the mother's not coming or the father's not coming to me all the time. So in this case, the older brother felt pretty much like he was being betrayed a little bit, right? A little bit, like he was.
Oh yeah.
You can understand how he felt though. So you can understand how the older brother felt, but what about the prodigal son coming back? How do you think he felt? Like, I might be an outsider now. You see what I'm saying? I might be an outsider. I'm just not coming back home, and yeah, they threw a party for me and we had a nice time, but then when it comes down with that party stuff, as they say, the honeymoon phase go away, then the realness come up. The realness come back. You see people for their true colors, as they say, oh, now I can see you I can see your true colors. You jealous of me. And all that tension. You jealous of me. Isn't that, that's pretty much what we're talking about right now, right? It's, oh, now you jealous of me. You think you better than me because you got a car and I ain't got a car. You think you better than me. We've been there, right? We all been there. Oh, you think because you came back here and got a house and I'm still, living in an apartment, and you think you're all that. The older son, brother, sister, compared to the prodigal son coming home. It is a sense of jealousy, and we know it to be true. Even though it's not a lot, it's not out there, it is a little bit of tension there. Because you're coming home and you got more, and my credit is good now since I done got out the military. Well, that really ain't facts, because it ain't true. You can get out, you can be in the military and have the worst credit. I've been there. Okay, so, but it is a thing to come back home and you see that jealousy. You see somebody, a little tension, a little jealousy that's going on. So it's the same thing that was going on back then in those days. And just like you said, Brother Wesley, he felt a certain kind of way, right? And the father, was that one that distinguished, okay, I'm gonna give him this and I'm gonna give you that. But I always try to put stuff in the sense of what we're feeling right now in today's world, compared to what was back there in AD and before Christ, and what was going on with Christ. Let's go to Luke 15. Luke 15, verse 11 through 19. Luke 15, verses 11 through 19. Luke 15. And it says, verse 11 says, Jesus continued, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to the father, Father, give me a share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had and set off for a distant country. And there squandered his wealth in wild living. So he went out to the world and did all this wild living, right? Like you said, he was getting prostitutes, he was getting this and that and the other. He was getting that. And he had wealth, okay? He had wealth. So he decided to go out here and to spend it all. It wasn't wisely. He did it abundantly. He was the wild one. So we got brothers and sisters. One of them is wilder than the other. The one is more outgoing than the other. One is calm. One is fearless. Would do everything, right? One is will hold on to money. The other one would just go squander it and spend it on everything you can get it. I want to deck my car out. I want to deck my car. I want to have the best shoes. I want to have the best accessories. I want to live my best life. And the other one's still sitting up here being humble, right? Being humble. Who's the most richest one? Go ahead.
I saw this same thing happen when I was in the Army. Some of those guys had come from small towns, and I guess they hadn't done much. They would get paid and would blow every cent they had the first 2 days. And then, you got 30 more days before you gonna get paid. Now they're borrowing from everybody. And you would think they learned their lesson. But the next payday, same thing.
Yeah.
They pay back the people that they owe, they blow their money, and they back borrowing again.
Right.
Never get out of the hole.
Right. And it took, some of them never learned. But some of them did. I mean, you would try to, in fact, I talked to one guy. I said, look, they claim they didn't like to mess hall food, and I was cooking. I said, look, you go downtown and you pay for food. It's free here. Whether you like it or not, there's something here that you like that'll save you some money. So, I got a couple guys who come on through, the food not bad, is it? I said, we're not trying to feed you sloppy. We actually put time and effort into cooking the food and making it taste good, so that you will come
back.
to the mess hall.
Yeah.
And not take your money downtown to, you know, we was in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
spending your money buying, what was that called, the Germans,
No, I wasn't over there. I was here in
Wiener Schnitzel?
yeah, that's what it was, yeah,
Schnitzel.
yeah.
But you know, the problem, you were talking naturally, the military was a fine example. Because most of us had never been over 100 miles from our home where we went in, you know.
Yeah.
But it started at home and it started in our schools. And it definitely is in our churches. We do not teach financial management.
Right.
We very seldom, there's two categories that we fail to do. I might get kicked out for saying this. One is we do not talk about love in the church. And we definitely don't talk about finance. We talk about I want and we need, and we do need. But how are you managing what you do have?
Yeah.
And since you don't manage very well, not just here in the church, but even in our community, state and nation, we become envious of the person that is a little bit more progressive than you. The guy that got the car, the guy that got the house, the guy that can go on vacations wherever. I wonder, now I did this with myself. I paid myself every day that I went to work. I started paying myself every day. At one time, it was a nickel every day. I had a big old plastic jug. I put a nickel in there every day. Just starting on. And then as I became more aggressive, then I started putting them 20s in that, and them 25s in that. Then whenever I wanted something, I didn't have to go to my checking account.
Yeah, you went to that.
I got it out of paying myself every day for going to work. But instead, we got a couple $100 in your pocket, you know, spend it. What about tomorrow? Who can you help with that 100 today and tomorrow, and your rewards will be multiplied? But we don't teach that.
Well, good. That was very good, man. Very good thought. Wow, that was.
Tried you like it.
Yeah, we were trying to like it. Hey, it was good.
Start the beach with $1.
He said he started. If y'all didn't hear that, and we're gonna try to bring mics up here. If y'all didn't hear that, he said that he started paying himself every day. He started off with a nickel. Right? And every day he continued to pay himself. And it built up to a point to where if he needed something, he didn't have to go into his checking account when he got paid. He just went into his little bank where he was paying himself. That's a good thing. And he said, try it, right? All right, so we all gonna try it, right? Can we give it all? We're gonna try that. So pay yourself every day, and then let's do it for you. Let's do it for 30 days, okay? Let's just do that. Let's fast on that. We're gonna pay ourselves for 30 days.
That's right.
All right, let's try that. We're gonna pay ourselves for 30 days, and then see if that helped us stop digging into the money that we got, that we get paid, and just using what was in here.
You know, I'd heard that before from Leroy, and I told my grandson the very same thing. And because that way he wouldn't have to keep coming and borrowing from me, you know, in between paydays. And he had every excuse in the world why he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I said, what? You getting paid, you can't take $15, you know, I got child support, I got this. You can't take $15 or $5
And put away.
and set it aside.
Well, Freddie has to get back to wanting to again.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to. Because he knew the Michael Freddie was going to be right there. So if Michael Freddie one day, he would have to go ahead and make the choice and go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
But see, a lot of times we think we helping our kids, grandkids. I think the only thing we doing is enabling them.
Enabling, yeah. So let's try it though. And as you just reread in Luke 15:11 through 13, where the father split up the estate, and one son went out and did what he wanted to do. The other one stayed at home. Brother Tony.
Okay, verse 14 states, after he spent everything, there was severe famine in the whole country. He began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sat in the fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything.
So sum that up.
So, that's what we're saying, though, that, be careful how, when we give when God blesses us, how we use it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why he suffered, because he was selfish and spent it on himself. Like Brother Leroy stated, like, you stated, that we all need to, if we took the part of that for ourselves also, but also share a part of that, we wouldn't be in that position.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What Brother Frey was talking about, how people, family members would be in a better position if they go ahead and just not use it all. We can't use it all of everything all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we need, especially Christians, we need to learn again to have a sharing what little we have. First, take care of what you need to take care of, but also learn to share it too, among others.
Mm-hmm. Brother Weston.
Verse 17 says, when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food spared? Here I am starving to death.
Hold up. So what position was he in again? He was the one that had the money, or the one was, which one was he?
He was the servant, the one trying to get the money.
Trying to get the money, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Verse 18, I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.
But he saw how well his servants were, that his father had treated much better than he's getting treated now. They were well fed, was kept, and was clean, and always had a full stomach. So, that's what he remembered.
So he was the older brother, or he was the prodigal son. Let's make sure we're on the same page. Who was this right here?
It's the prodigal.
It's the prodigal son, right? Right?
And this means wasteful son.
Yeah. Foolish one, right? So it wasn't the older brother. This was the prodigal son. This is the one that wanted to come back home because he had squandered all his stuff.
Right, he realized he came to himself, realized he was foolish. And that, he had people that loved him, and he believed his father gave him another chance.
Mm-hmm.
So he repented, really, and went back home.
Mm-hmm. But again, putting yourselves out there in the positions, like you said, Brother Freddie, how a person pushes themselves to be more than what they are. What we call those people that they living above their means, you might say, and now all that means is squandered away, and he ain't got nothing left. He wants to come back home.
And he lowered himself. He said, I would be
A servant.
Dad's servants. They got him. I would go back and try to be a servant.
They get treated well. I'll be a servant. Daddy, just let me be your servant. How many of y'all would, honestly, it's the truth. It happens today. I want to go back home. And people look at it and say you're belittling yourself by going back home and going to start back over, but it's not. You're really trying to come back home to get yourself together. You're trying to get yourself together. Was this, in his case, he was trying to get himself together as the prodigal son?
Yeah.
He was trying to get himself together, right? But he wanted to, right?
It's his desire.
And he was willing to put everything on the back burner to that. He was doing in the past everything he was willing to just. I'm willing to come back home. I want to work for you, Father. I don't want you to give it to me. I want to work for it.
Wholehearted desire.
I want to work for it. I want to work for it. I want it. But we see as parents, our kids come back home, some of us, kids come back home, you want to still give them the world, right? So what lesson is that going to learn? What lesson is that if you just give it back? Okay, all right, let me take it. So the estate that we split up, I split up this estate, give it to you and your brother. Now you come back home because you squandered all this. Some parents will take whatever they had again and split it again. You know that? Instead of making you work for it,
Of course.
they would go and split it again, what's left, and say, okay, and then the other one, the older son is looking crazy like, that was my money. That was mine. But daddy, you came back and split what I had. This is what I've been saving. You split this up just so he can get more. It happens all the time. Believe it or not, it happens all the time. You know, but he was willing to work for it. He was willing to work for it.
And that older son will always have something because of that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The young one, hopefully he'll learn his lesson. Hopefully the young one learns lesson, maybe not. Some of us never learn a lesson. And not the age neither, it's just the maturity and spirituality of the person, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, you know, what can you do? But, you know, try to keep preaching to them and talking to them and show them the example. Until that person wants to do it, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. And look, in today's world, all these young kids out here, they're technically that younger prodigal son. You know, all of the young generation right now, they are really basically the prodigal son because they want to come back home. And some of them just
come
can't.
back home because home is security.
Yes.
See, the prodigal son, when he was out there, he was eating down there in the pig pen with hogs and stuff like that. Because people that throwing the waste away, they wouldn't feed him. So he actually got in the hog pen.
Mm-hmm.
The parents today do not, as not all of them, but the vast majority, and I was talking to a relative man the other day, that I said, you know, I feel, I don't know what, not sorry for a young Afro-American woman going to school, applying herself, get 22 or 23 years old, she starts seeking a mate. She's gonna catch period H-E-L-L. Because the average Afro-American man is not a man, he's a male. The women, the Afro-American woman is raising cripples rather than potential mates. You got young Afro-American men, we all know them, and I'm not judging, you got 3 or 4 outside children and still live at home. And the mother has to pay somebody to cut the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why can't the son? He don't like to cut grass. But he like to eat your food, don't he? He like your air conditioning, don't he? You wash his clothes too, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You make up his bed and all that kind of stuff. Now, what kind of man is this?
Mm-hmm.
So why shouldn't he stay at home? Mama take care of everything I need. If I want a little love, I go out the street and get it and come on back home and tell her, can leave them babies out there. Grandmama got enough babies to raise.
Mm-hmm.
Not even grandmama's babies.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that's the reason he came back home, because of security, blanket of home. But then his father had instilled him love, not material love, but genuine love. So he go ahead, here, take your whatever you want and go. And let the door slam where you, as you leave out. So when the hard time came along, where else could he go but home?
Mm-hmm.
And his father and his brother welcomed him with glee
Right.
because they have been trained.
All right, so we're going to end on that note. Freddie, can you give her a book? Can you give her a book? We're going to end on that. We're going to start off on Proverbs 21:16 next week. Proverbs 21:16.
I'd like to ask you,
Go ahead.
summarize something. Who are the prodigal sons of the day? And like I said, anyone who's outside of church who's looking for a church home. Like I said, we talk about people who are drugged out, people that's backsliders, people that, from other churches who look for church homes. Just anybody who's trying to get back their life back together.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be in your family, it could be, just people in church and people around me. As church members, I think, like Brother Leroy and Brother Fred and all, we need to look out more for that, because they're around us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we doing to, like you said, the prayer partner thing, or whatever, are we actually engaging with them? That's the thing. So we just need to be more aware, and when they do come in, that's a key moment, because they could go back either on the other side. So we need to watch out for them and really do something when they do come in.
Right.
Excuse me, can I say this?
Yeah.
Do Antioch still have the prison ministry that y'all used to have?
I don't think so. Not right now.
No.
The reason I said this, a couple of weeks ago, I looked out was in my backyard getting ready to cut the grass, and there was a young man in the yard behind me. He had all his exercise machine and everything. He, lifting weights and everything. And he spoke. I spoke to him. Naturally, the sun was shining. He had a whole mouthful of gold. I mean, you talking about grill is what they what do you call
Grill.
it? Grill?
Yeah.
He was loaded. So I got to talking. I asked him. He said, "Excuse me, what is your name, sir?" And I told him my name is Leroy Madison. What is your name? He said, I'm just use this fake name. My name is Brother Frank.
Yeah.
I said, Brother Frank? I said, did your parents name you Brother Frank? He said, no, that's part of my religion. But he never did tell me what his given name was.
Oh, okay.
But he was a brother, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Would sound pretty good. And I got to talking to him. He was telling me he had just gotten out of prison, been out about 2 years. I think he said about a year or something like that. And now he's out of the halfway house and he lived with his father, which lived behind me. I didn't know his daddy or anything like that. So he was telling me that he had been in prison he was 40 years old and had been in prison for 21 years.
Wow.
Now, but went on to say, we got to talking and I was asked, and he asked me what church was I affiliated with. And I said, well, I'm affiliated with Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. He said, oh yeah, I remember them. They came out to the prison when I was down here, and they spoke to us, and everything. But now, is that a particle son? Is he in the? What has the church? Now that he's out, what is the church doing for him?
Well, one, he has to first reach out because we don't know if he's out or not.
No,
That's one
I'm
thing.
just saying.
Yeah, but he could. We can invite him in fellowship with him, get him in here, and we can all tag team and keep his mind right. If that's the way he really wants to go, but he has to really want it. So yeah, he is a prodigal son.
Oh,
Sorry.
he is. Justin talked to him. He said he had gone visit a couple of other churches, but since so many churches are not open now,
Yeah.
I don't invite anybody here. I don't want to be insulted. You understand? But that's another story.
Yeah.
The thing, you want a person, when you invite a person into your home, you want them to feel welcome and at ease. Same thing happened here in the church. make
Yeah.
them feel welcome
You should, yeah,
and
you should.
ease.
You should, and then
Not
just,
chastise, criticize.
well, I would suggest, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I would suggest inviting them, the next time. And the reason why, just like last week, we invited some guys to come back, he brought his whole family in today. So, it's not that, you know, we make choices on, saying we're gonna do this or we're not gonna do it, but that might hinder that person. You never know what might bring that person straight to God if you invite him. You never know it. Because you might have an issue on his left side, but he might not have issues on the right or the left. He's coming in wanting to be free. He's wanting it. He's wanting. So I would suggest if I read up on him, if you introduced me to him, I would invite him. Because you never know what thoughts are, people's thought process. And Brother Freddie is gonna walk around and do the
I'd like to make a quick prayer request.
Okay.
Thank a couple guys. Well, the Chris Episode and Olivia, their family, pray for them, and then pray for Franklin Carr. He went to church with his mom this morning. He's going to come there. He said, he's going with his mom. Pray for them.
One quick note, the Father, in this parable, the forgiving, loving Father, that's what the church should represent. Bringing those people in, forgiving, loving, but also, helping them to stay on the right track.
Right. All right, so we're doing the Sunday school offering now, and then we're gonna go ahead and end today. And you want to pray us out based on what the prayer request.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for your new mercies. Just, oh God, give us especially me, a spirit of perseverance, oh God. Sometimes we have a rough week, like Elijah, feel like giving up sometimes. The odds are overwhelming, but just strengthen me, oh God. And thank you that you're blessing me bear fruit, oh God. Just bring in them that need to be restored. And then, oh God, let them be wholehearted and repentant and humble. And like you said about the family, there was a man with no guile. So, oh God, let there be people with no guile, no trickery in their hearts. Just, oh God, help them to bear fruit. And just bless us today. And thank you, use Brother Taste, and give us more exhortations we need in it, and through him, and just give them safe travel mercies to come here today, and help us be receptive to your word, and to grow thereby, and help me to grow, to be more willing to deny myself sleep. It's not easy, but you want us to grow, but it's hard. It's hard to get up at 2 and study, and like that, and then stay awake, and then come to Sunday school. He said, no, you need to do that. You help me to grow in that aspect, in that area. I got somewhere, some growth in that area. And just have your way, use passion in a mighty way, give us the word of God to encourage us in a mighty way, in Jesus' name. Thank you, Father.
Amen. So we're going to end. Thank you. We can give. We go ahead and put it on something, and then we can go ahead and end today. Welcome. We hope to see y'all next week. Call it over the phone, see what it says. He's a seller. We'll be close enough anyway.